Good morning, friends. This is Dennis Miracle. Today we're going to be making the crazy quilt block for the second week, so block number 2, and this is it you're looking at. And then this is my pile of random pieces of mostly solid colors that we're going to be working with. And I'm going to put the hoop in the machine. I've got it all with my stabilizer, which is paper towels, and the yellow lines are highlighter magic marker type lines that I put when I can remember, which is not too often, in case my design comes apart from the hoop. I'll know where to stick it to put it back in the hoop. So that's something I learned from someone some years ago, but like I say, I never remember to do it, but today I remembered. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the machine and run step 1, which will be the placement stitch. So I'll be right back. All right, you might be able to see the placement line. It's gold thread, so it's not real easy to see, but I did run the placement line, step number 1. And let me just make a note here. This design will be available in 5x5, 6x6, 8x8, and 10x10. And I always do the 8x8 myself, but I just wanted to tell you that as far as the next step will be putting down a piece of batting to fit over these placement lines. And whatever size you're doing, if you're doing 5x5, cut a piece of batting roughly 7x7. If you're doing 10x10, make it 12x12. Just add a couple inches, at least an inch and a half, but just for ease of cutting, I just make it an even 2 inches to any of these patterns as far as putting your batting, or making your batting, cutting your batting. Anyhow, let me grab the batting and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got a piece of batting. I'm going to take and place it over the stitches here, over the placement stitches, and it fits right in the hoop almost perfectly. So I'm going to put this back in the machine and do the tack down. So we'll have something to be the basis or foundation for our pieces of fabric. So let me do that. I'll run step 2 and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see my batting has been sewn down, and then I'll just leave the hoop in the machine because I'm going to run step 3, which is just the outlines for where all the pieces will go and what shapes they will be. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, I ran step number 3, and I changed colors also to dark brown so you can easily see the locations of the pieces and where to place them. And now I look over here at my screen and I see the first piece to be put down is in the upper left-hand corner, and that's basically the way that I am starting all of these. The only thing different in this second block is I decided to delete that step where it did all of the satin stitching. After consulting with a number of people, no one felt that was necessary, and I had to agree. These blocks are going to stay down. I don't think there's any way they can get up. So that was my initial worry, was making sure that the seams didn't come apart, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I've deleted that step. And so now I'm going to take my first piece of fabric. I'm going to reach over and grab something and place it over. Well, let me take this out of the hoop. Let me stop for a moment. All right, I reached over and grabbed a piece of fabric here, and it's not a solid, as you can see. Actually, it was from a Kincaid piece of fabric, I believe. The artist Thomas Kincaid, a piece of fabric. Little dog, please stop wiggling. I'm going to take it, and on these exterior pieces, and there's really only one interior piece here, you need to always make sure that you have gone at least a ½ inch or so above the outline of the it's hard to say bag. No, I'm not doing bags at this moment. Of the block. So make sure you're covered basically out here like this, all the way. All these exterior pieces you need to have plenty left over on the sides. And so let me place this block so you see how I'm placing it, and let me see where I'm at up there. Okay, I'm fine up at the top. I can actually feel the stitches, and right here. So I'm going to take this and put this in my machine, and it's going to sew down this first block. All right, you can see I have sewn down this first piece of fabric. I'm going to take my applique scissors, and I'm going to cut starting right down here and go all the way up this, right as close as I can, and right straight off on this side. And then over here I'm going to cut along this stitch line and cut right straight off. So that's what you want to do. We're removing the interior cloth and keeping this margin of cloth on the outside. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, this is how it should look after trimming. And now I look over here at my machine, and I see the next block to be sewn down, which of course is this block right here. So let me find a piece of fabric, place it over it in the same way I place this fabric, and sew it down. Be right back. All right, you can see that this second piece has been sewn down, and I'm going to take my scissors and start here and cut right along through here and right off at the top. I'm going to cut across this bottom area, get rid of this little piece right here, and cut straight up here and right off. And I'll do that, and I'll show you that in just a moment. All right, here is the second piece of fabric. As you see, I just left the little part up here. And now I'm going to look at my machine, and you see that the third piece is this piece over here. So let me find a piece of cloth. I'll place it on top, leaving some room on the exterior here, at least a ½ inch around the exterior. And I'll sew it down and be right back. All right, you can see this has been sewn down, so I'm going to cut probably from here straight across here and straight off. Well, actually this is way too much. Let me cut this, and that piece is big enough to use again, this little leftover. So I'm going to take my applique scissors and cut right across here and off. I'm going to take and cut through here along this line and cut right up through here and off. And I'm not showing you one thing, but let me tell you, when I put the fabric down, like for the next one, I think it'll be probably here, but I'm not sure. But anyhow, when I get ready to put it in the machine to sew it down, I take my iron and I just give it a little pat right on top, and that holds it in place. I've seen people that used pins to pin this. I don't think that's necessary. I've not had a problem with it wiggling around. I just, of course, am careful watching it as it's sewing, so I can stop it immediately if there's an issue. But anyhow, sure as I've said that, I know I'll have an issue now. So let me trim this and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, well, that's what it looks like after it's trimmed. I hope you all are understanding, getting the idea now. Over here on this one, I didn't leave a lot of material, but I left at least I'm going to cut these blocks about 1/4 of an inch, trim them to leave 1/4 of an inch past here on the exterior sides all around when I get this done. So I think you know, you need to leave at least 1/4 of an inch past here, or however long you plan to, you know, however much of a extra you plan on using. So anyhow, let me look at our next. Okay, you know, as I thought, it's going to be right here. So let me find a fabric to cover this, and I'll place it on there and sew the next step. Okay, you can see the piece is sewn down, and I'm going to trim. I'm going to come in right here and trim all this off. Go up here, down here, and here, and go right off the side and trim that off. So I'll be right back. All right, there's how that should look. And let me look over and see where my next. Okay, it's that center piece. And so I'm going to find a piece of fabric for this piece here, and I'll find one and sew it down. Be right back. All right, there that piece is, and I'm going to take and just, it's the center piece, so we need to trim it on all sides. The only piece like that, so we trim it around all the sides, however many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, you can see I've trimmed all around the corners there, or the sides there, and I don't know about you, but I find this really calming and not stressful at all to do this trimming. I just enjoy sitting here and doing this, and I hope you do too. So let me look over. All right, you see it's this big piece right here, and let me find a piece of fabric to cover that, and I'll be right back. I'll go ahead and place it and sew it down. All right, you see that I've trimmed that on the side, and I'm sorry, I trimmed that in the center and left the side with a nice piece there to as extra. So let's look over at our machine, and we see it's next is this piece right beside it right here. So let me find something to cover that. All right, well, I didn't do so great. There's a little piece right here that got missed, so I wasn't paying close enough attention, and that's what happened. So anyhow, hopefully that'll be caught in the seam and won't be noticed. But that's what you get for trying to do 12 things at once. I had to get up and take care of another issue. So that's that. I'll make it work. So I'm going to trim this, and I'll be right back. All right, that's what that looks like. I could have chopped off a little bit of this, but I'm not going to bother. So obviously this is the next and last piece, so let me find something to go over that, and I'll place it over and take it and sew it down, and I'll be back in a moment. Alrighty, this has been sewn down. I'm going to cut straight in from here, all the way along here, down here, right there, and then cut straight off, and so I'll be right back. Alrighty, now you can see that that is placed and trimmed, and this is what we have, folks. And then my little boo-boo is staring me at the eye, staring at me right here and irritating me, but what's done is done. Let it go and move on. So now I'm going to start, or the machine will start doing the beautiful quilting, the beautiful stitches as far as the seams, the crazy quilt stitches on all the seams, and they're each in a different file, each set of, for instance, you can see on my machine it's going to be this area right here is going to stitch next, and so I'm going to change colors to, I think I am going to change to gold, and So I'm going to do that and start the stitching, and there's probably 6 or 8 of those steps, and they're all just doing the crazy quilt stitching. So as far as the seams, so let me go ahead and do that, and after I've done all of those steps, I'll be right back. All right, that did not take long at all, maybe 5 minutes or so, 6 minutes. You can see all the pretty crazy quilting as far as the crazy stitches have been done. And now it's going to start the fills on each of these, the pretty crazy quilting fills. I'm not going to, I think this is really pretty. I think it's a piece of grunge starburst. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to put a fill in there, even though I have one programmed into the software or into the pattern. But I'm going to do all the rest of these others around here with the whatever fills that I had put in the pattern. So, and just for your information, the one that I had put in here was like the ribbons or ribbons of hope. But I'm going to leave this just like it is because I think that's really pretty, those stars. So let me run those, and that'll take a little bit longer, but I'll be back in a moment. Well, it is completed. And I did decide to put the ribbons in the center there. I changed the thread to gold because I just want to remember, when I see a ribbon, I always think of my loved ones who have died of cancer. My father in January of 75, my dear aunt in April of 72. So I always want to remember them, because as long as I have a memory, I will remember them. So anyhow, that is it for today, for the second week. I think it's a very beautiful stitching, and I hope you will agree. And this will be available. Today is Monday the 15th, and the pattern will be available in 2 days on Wednesday morning. What would that be, the 17th? And it will be available in the 5x5, the 6x6, the 8x8, and the 10x10 sizes. So I want to thank you for watching me make this. I'm going to take it now and trim it to about 1/4 of an inch here past the outer exterior stitching, and there'll be another one of my blocks that I'll have for something. And again, thank you so much, and thank you to all those who continue to encourage me with their words, their kind words, and purchasing my patterns. I do so much appreciate it. So have a great day, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.